chill. Yo, what's going on? It's the Real Hall of Fame D-Line. tbkc and all that sweet, beautiful, wonderful shit. Let me tell you. Look, man, I want to give out as much information as possible, even on days where I may or may not get a live. This is something that we talked about on a live. I want to emphasize this to you guys. Okay, previously, certain individuals have told y'all just have a surgery if your dog has an elongated palate. Now, this is why that's a dangerous theory in the first place. First of all, you don't want to breed any dog that has an issue like that. But more so, I can explain this to you as I explained it on the live. Most times, even when a dog has the surgery, it still doesn't breathe normally. It still has issues bringing in the proper amount of oxygen. For those of us that don't know, oxygen runs our body. We need oxygen. You know what I mean? We need oxygen. We need oxygen. So with us needing oxygen, our kidneys, our livers, our hearts, every major organ in our body, including our skin, needs oxygen. With the amount of COVID that went on, everybody knew and got familiar with oxygen levels. Well, a dog that has any kind of obstruction or breathing issue has a naturally lower level of oxygen in their bloodstream. Now, this is a two-part thing, and this is why it's very, very dangerous. It's more than two parts. The first part is the dog's not getting an adequate amount of oxygen because it can't breathe. Okay, we make that very simple. But the next part to this that gets a little more interesting is the fact that the heart and the lungs, of course, which is basically the main motor for life with our bodies, also have to work harder. Now think about that, and that's why I was saying it's two-pronged. The heart has to work harder, the lungs have to work harder because of the lack of air, but at the same time they're not being supported by air as they run harder. So what typically happens is that you end up with heart issues, you end up with lung issues to go along with the breathing issues. And what it is it's a continuous rotation of badness, because once again, the heart, the lungs working to compensate for not getting air, but at the same time needing air. So now the heart and the lungs are pretty much stressing out and receiving damage. This goes the same with the kidneys. This goes the same with the liver. Even if you notice that dogs who have breathing issues have more skin issues, the reason being the lack of proper interior nutrients, which would be, oxygen, causes the skin to break out a lot easier. And basically it just allows the body to break down a lot easier in every facet. So the last part that I'll discuss with these breathing issues and the whole elongated palate thing and how it affects everything else is they also are very, very susceptible to heat, because of course the only way that the body can cool itself down is by the proper amount of oxygen intake. Well, the same thing is it's just going over the same shit over and over again. They're susceptible to exercise. They can't exercise. They cannot go out and exercise because they don't have the proper lung capacity or air intake. Lung capacity is broken down over time. Just like us, our lung capacity gets better as we are able to work out, get in shape. Being someone who loves to work out, I'll tell you, it's times when I really have great wind, like I can run forever. If I'm on the mat doing jiu-jitsu, I can go forever. And then there'll be times where I might have been slacking a little bit and haven't been working out, and that wind is not the same. Well, imagine a whole life of not being able to actually work out, what it does to your lungs capacity. Your lungs cannot get stronger. The heart cannot get stronger. They're asked to work more while not being able to get stronger, but at the same time, not getting the proper oxygen that's needed to function. This is all just a very bad circle, and this is why we see most of these dogs cannot make it for a very long time. If you cannot build that cardiovascular system to being what it needs to be, the dog has no chance of survival. This is the fact. The dog just has no chance of survival. I wanted to make this video, and I'm sure that my words are not the most elegant or clear or whatever, but you're getting my point, is that this is why breathing is such a major issue. Because if that dog cannot breathe properly, that dog cannot live properly. And if the dog can't live properly, it should have never been a part of any breed at all. The dog is destined to die a young death. It's no way around it. You can do whatever you want to do, but this is the reason why in this community in particular, a lot of our heavier set friends, a lot of our super big dogs and all of that good stuff, it's a reason why these dogs are not lasting probably past a couple years. Now I will go into, something else, and that something else would be this. Imagine the lungs stressing out. Imagine those same lungs starting to get some fluid buildup. Imagine the dog drowning to death because of the fluid buildup in the lungs. This is also something we see. The last part of what I'm going to tell you is that the immune system breaks down. When the lungs stress, the lungs usually can have small abrasions / lacerations, whatever you want to call it. And what will happen is those will produce a mucus and a pus type thing going on inside the lungs. Well, as this fluid starts to fill up the lungs, of course with us we say that's pneumonia, but it drowns the dog from the inside out. A lot of people have seen their dog as they thought overheat, even though the temperature might not be that bad, and they see all of this stuff coming out of the dog's mouth or out of the nose, and they like, well, it wasn't that hot, or it wasn't that this, and it's what was going on. And what has happened is that the dog really basically was already suffering from what a lot of the signs would be that we would call like a pneumonia and an infection in the lung. But because the dog already had bad breathing, they didn't think of anything when they heard the dog breathing bad, and the dog was drowning from the inside out. This is very, dogs are very susceptible to that when they have breathing issues. So as y'all see as I go through this, and this is why this is better for alive, is that this is why everything starts with breathing. Because if we can fix the dog's breathing, we can fix a lot of the things that's going wrong with the dog's life in general and its functions, and increase its longevity. If we continue to ignore the fact that most of these dogs have a very hard time moving around and are breathing more through their mouth than their noses because of blockages in the airway, we will continue to see them die as the brain is not getting oxygen, the heart is not getting oxygen, the liver, the kidneys, the skin, nothing is getting the proper amount of oxygen. But yet and still, we want to make them bigger. When you're bigger, you actually need more oxygen, but we're already short on the supply. It's something to think about. I went in a lot of different ways, but this is why we scream healthy dogs matter. This is why this is one of my priorities. This is why as we start here with the TBKC, you're going to find out more and more that it's going to be harder to register a dog. But the harder part is a great part. DNA testing, great part. Mandatory health testing, great part. You know what I mean? Right now, as we start off, the one thing that we're starting with is just that your doctor gives your dog an okay to be bred. There'll be simple questions on there that this doctor ethically and by law has to answer honestly, and those questions will go pertaining to the breathing. Can your dog breathe? Does your dog have any obstructions in the airway? Does your dog have any abnormalities in the lung and the heart? If we can get an okay from that, then on both dogs, the dogs are breedable. If you can't get an okay on that, the tbkc will not register. This is one of our first big steps to cleaning up the breed and getting the breed back to being a healthy animal. But until next time, y'all, God bless y'all. Much love. Peace.